Another article that you wrote, kind of the whole Russell Wilson. The thought is it's between the Giants and the Browns. Take us through that article and just kind of your thoughts on Wilson.
So for Russell Wilson, I think when you heard that he was going to visit both the Browns and the Giants, a lot of people would just, kind of tend to assume that perhaps the Browns situation might be a little bit better roster wise and just stability and all that stuff. But when you actually break it down, and that's what I try to do in the article, is just compare the two situations. Of course, Wilson will probably be drawn to, the New York being married to Sierra and all that as a consideration. But, from the coaching staff of Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, the general manager, they're also in a similar position as Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, a little bit on the hot seat. So they need to produce. They have a nice weapon with Malik Neighbors, and the Browns have Jerry Jeudy. David Njoku at tight end gives the Browns a little bit of an advantage as far as skill players go. But at the end of the day, when you bring in a quarterback like Russell Wilson, you want to, play smart football, cut down on the turnovers, be efficient, all of those things that have made him successful over his career. And, I think both teams would be able to provide him that with the defense. I think they made a couple of moves in New York in the secondary that will elevate their defense a little bit. So at the end of the day, I think that this is a very, very, closer competition than most would think.
Yeah, the one thing is I'm sure the Browns don't have as much money to spend as the Giants, just relative to the salary cap because of the Watson contract. The other thing, when you look at what I'm sure Kevin Stefanski is looking at, I need a quarterback that's not going to turn the ball over, because they haven't had that the last 2 years. Even the year they won 11 games, they had a boatload of turnovers and overcame them.
Yeah, for sure. And that would be the benefit to bringing in a quarterback like Russell Wilson. The thing that I think the Browns also have to consider is, and they need to get really clear about, and I'm sure they're having those conversations in Berea right now, is what they actually want to do in the draft and what they're hoping will happen in the draft. Because if you do bring in Russell Wilson, let's say versus a Carson Wentz, who has been reported as, mutual interest today, is that you're kind of making a commitment to Russell Wilson that, he would go into the season as the presumed starter.
Yeah, without question. And, that could end up signaling that maybe they aren't taking a quarterback at 2. And all that stuff will have to play out without question.